Here are the facts. From 1990 to 2010, Wyoming's cost of living increased 209%, and its per capita personal income increased 183%. The average state employee salary increased 132%. Over that same period of time, a district judge's salary increased by only 82%. Those district judges are essentially making less than half of what they were making 20 years ago. Now, it's probably fair to say that this situation is not the result of a conscious decision on the part of this legislature, but it is instead caused by the manner in which judicial salaries are considered. Only infrequently, and then increases that are really needed to keep up, are deemed politically too large, and so judges are forced to take what they can get. This inequity must be recognized and corrected so that the three co-equal branches of government are paid equitably. For the long term, the legislature should work with the judicial branch to develop a judicial salary plan that avoids the periodic necessity for judges to essentially beg for salary increases just to keep up. None of us like that situation. To become judges, we are asking attorneys to leave successful practices to take on a job that is frankly less attractive and more difficult than ever before. And I can tell you from experience that as I have worked to recruit candidates for judicial openings, fewer and fewer top-flight attorneys are interested. In the larger districts, we have historically had 30 to 40 applicants for a district court opening. And now we are seeing 10 to 15. For the last circuit court opening in a large district, we had only 6 applicants. Now, we've been lucky to maintain a high quality of applicants, but I truly fear that if salaries do not keep pace, this will not continue. For the next 3 to 6 years, over half our judges will retire. And the faces that you see of the judiciary in the balcony will look much different than they do today. Fewer lines and less gray hair. Correcting this pay gap is not only important to those who serve now, but is critical to the future of this branch of government. Although we know revenues are limited, we also know this body will consider spending millions more than we're asking for on optional projects. Equal justice for all is not optional. It is a core function of our government. Senate File 40 proposes increases in judicial salaries to reduce that gap, and we thank the sponsors of that legislation and urge the adoption. It provides for salaries for district and Supreme Courts that are comparable to the executive branch. However, and this is important, the Board of Judicial Policy and Administration, which represents all levels of the courts, strongly believes that the bill as currently drafted does not provide for an adequate increase in circuit judge salaries, and we urge that Senate File 40 be amended to retain the proportionality of salaries of the levels of courts that has always existed. We need to encourage quality applicants for circuit courts, and the proposed salary structure in that bill will not do it. Don't forget that we recruit district judges and ultimately Supreme Court judges from those ranks. In fact, 2 of our former Chief Justices, Justice Larry Lehman and Justice Barton Voigt, started out as circuit court judges. Each of our judges strives to provide equal justice for all Wyoming citizens. Case by case, they must decide whether the other 2 branches of government are conforming their actions to the dictates of our Constitution. Tough questions are presented in each case, and the right answer is often hard to find. I read a story recently about a Texas judge that demonstrated just how challenging those questions can be. In Mount Vernon, Texas, Drummond's Bar began constructing an expansion of their building to increase their business. In response, a local church started a campaign to block the bar from expanding with petitions and prayers. And work progressed right up until the week before the grand opening, when lightning struck the bar and burned it to the ground. Afterwards, the church folks were rather smug in their outlook, bragging about the power of prayer, until the bar owner sued the church on the grounds that the church was ultimately responsible for the demise of his building through the direct or indirect means. And in its reply to the court, the church vehemently denied all responsibility or any connection to the building's demise. So the judge read through the plaintiff's complaint and the defendant's reply. At the opening hearing, he commented, "I don't know how I'm going to decide this, but it appears from the paperwork that we have a bar owner who believes in the power of prayer and an entire church congregation that now does not." So, as you consider what a judge is worth, picture in your mind the job judges do every day. The circuit courts handle over 170,000 cases in which they determine the rights of creditors, whether a substance abuser will get treatment, or how best to protect a victim of domestic violence. They manage clerk's offices that handle over $30 million a year. And for most Wyoming citizens, the circuit judge is the face of the judiciary. In just the seemingly simple act of setting a bond, something they do probably 30 or 40 times a week, they must balance public safety with the impact of incarceration on an individual's job and their family's loss of support. And rather than trying to describe to you the importance of their decisions, I'd like you to hear it from one Wyoming citizen whose life was changed by a circuit judge. In a letter, she said, "Dear Judge, I want to let you know you saved me from being the next young woman on the obituary page. When I was on probation, my husband divorced me and took my babies, and I planned to drink my life away. I was arrested for public intoxication and came before your court again, and you told me I was dangerous, and I pleaded for another chance. Thank you for not giving me that chance. I am in a jail-based program now, and my life really does have a purpose." Thousands of individuals like that are impacted and sometimes saved by our circuit courts. Over the years since you have created this system, these judges have grown in ability and in stature in their communities, and we owe them our thanks. In over 20,000 cases a year, we ask district judges to solve the insoluble problems of our society, one person at a time. When I asked a district judge to describe his job, he said, "I sit at my desk each morning and begin to sort through people's lives. I determine who gets property and who gets money. I decide what's in the best interest of children in juvenile cases. I profoundly affect families in divorce cases. I decide who goes to prison and who doesn't. And this is within the bounds of a system that provides substantial discretion, knowing that what is perceived as fairness and justice in my community depends on my decisions." If you look at a typical schedule for a Monday morning for one of our district judges, as I have, you would be stunned by the breadth of issues they face and the deadly serious nature of the decisions they must make. One such day, one of our busy district judges arraigned 10 defendants charged with everything from assault on a police officer with a deadly weapon to a 4th DUI felony to 7 different drug crimes. Then he held hearings in 4 juvenile cases, 1 child abuse case, 2 divorce matters, 2 probation revocations, and a sentencing, the most solemn exercise of judicial discretion. One of the most difficult decisions a district court has to make is which of 2 deserving parents will have the joy of custody of the children that they love. The wisdom of one of our district judges is shown in the statement he made at the end of a difficult divorce case. He said, "I want you to know that there is no case on the docket more important than this one. No case with higher stakes than the well-being of these good children. This decision by the court today is the absolute best application of the law to your facts that I can do. I know that one side doesn't like this decision, but it is the hope of this court that you will respect it, respect each other, and most of all, respect your children. Because there will come a day that you will meet two judges you do respect, and those judges will be these two children. Please conduct yourself when you leave here so that when you look your children in the eye 20 years from now, you can say, everything I did was out of love for you. Court adjourned. Now, I think you will agree that that is the kind of district judge that we want to attract and retain. And I would like to ask the circuit and district judges who are with us here today to let us thank them for their efforts and stand and be recognized. Thank you. Further, consider that every one of these trial court decisions, as well as the action of the legislature and the executive branch, are subject to review and ultimate disposition by the 5 individuals who are entrusted by our Constitution as the court of last resort. Ask yourself, what kind of individual do you want sitting on that bench? What are they worth? What is equal justice for all worth? Equal justice for all, those are not just hallowed words. They are the creed of every judge. Judges struggle every day in every case to do justice. Of all the values that support our democracy and direct your decisions as to how to spend taxpayer money, justice must rank as one of the most important. In the words of Daniel Webster, spoken over 150 years ago, justice, sir, is the great interest of man on earth. It is the ligament that holds civilized man together and civilized nations together. Wherever her temple stands, so long as it is honored, there is a foundation for the improvement and the progress of our race. It is this same truth that weighs every day on the shoulders of the men and women we ask to be our judges. They trust you to honor their efforts to provide equal justice for all of Wyoming's citizens. Thank you.
Chief Justice Kite, on behalf of the members of the legislature, I thank you for attending this joint session and for your message to us. Thank you again. Senator Bebout, Representative Semlich and Korberg, would you please escort the governor from the chamber? Senator Rothfuss, Representatives Green and Burkhart, will you please escort the Chief Justice from the chamber?